So this week we're going to do something a little bit more relaxed than normal and a little bit more casual. I'm going to be taking you into my kitchen to bake with me. I decided that I wanted to bake something special for my kids for breakfast on the weekend. So I decided to go with this cinnamon swirl bread. It's a King Arthur flour recipe. I love their recipes for baking because, of course, that's what they do. I mean, it's a baking company, so they have really good recipes. And I do make a couple changes throughout the recipe just to tailor it to what I prefer. So I do use spelt flour, white spelt flour, instead of regular white flour. And that's just because for us, it's a lot easier to digest and all that good stuff. And also, we don't do any dairy in our house. So when you see me using butter, like just now, that is always going to be dairy-free butter, which in my opinion works pretty well. And I haven't had any issues with baking with it. So I like it quite a bit. Well, you'll see here I'm using my KitchenAid stand mixer to knead this dough, and I actually enjoy kneading by hand, but sometimes if it's a dough that has to knead for a long time, like this dough had to knead for like 7 minutes in the stand mixer, then I'll just use the stand mixer, and then it's just a lot easier and a lot quicker for me when I'm trying to make things like this, in the course of a busy day. So I really love to bake, and my kids and my husband love to eat the things that I make. And I actually do quite a bit of baking with my daughter. She's 9 and she loves to cook and to bake with me. And I just like teaching her all of the tips and tricks that I've picked up over the years, and I like to know that she will know how to make things. I've taught my son to a certain extent too, and he can make pizza from scratch. He can make the dough. He has also made bread before from scratch, but he's not really as into it as my daughter. So I find that most of the time I end up in the kitchen with her cooking or baking, and we just have a really great time. And I just think it's really like almost magical for kids to see that they can create these things, that, you don't have to buy bread in a store. You don't have to depend on somebody else to have bread. Like if you have flour, or if you even just have grains, you can grind those grains and you can make bread from them. You can make things from them. And that's part of the reason why I feel like it's so special to cook with your kids and to bake with your kids, so that they're empowered, that they know that these things aren't just from a package. And not to mention, the best reason of all is that it's really enjoyable and really fun to spend time with your kids, cooking with them and baking with them. You can just really develop some great memories that you'll have for the rest of your life. So do you guys prefer to cook or to bake with your kids? So right here, this is one of the changes I made in this recipe. I like to use powdered sugar instead of granulated sugar in my cinnamon and sugar fillings, because I think it gives it a much nicer texture. And I also think that it helps your rolled breads to stay together better and gives you less gapping. So that is one of the changes that I did make in this recipe. And my family, they have to test a lot of recipes for me. I'm always cooking for them and making different things. And, most things turn out okay or really, really well. But every now and then there are some stinkers, just because I like to try different things. I'll do something that I've never done before just to see how it will turn out. And the first time or two, it may not turn out the best, but eventually, theoretically, at some point, it gets better. And I also find that cooking, and especially baking for some reason, is very relaxing for me. When I started baking when I was younger, I was actually really bad at it, and I had to work very hard to improve. And what I did was I forced myself to focus. Like, I focused on every single part of the recipe every time that I would bake. And in doing so, I kind of trained my mind to pay attention to the small details. And so it was, in a way, a sort of meditation for me, because I only had to focus on the recipe and the ingredients that were right in front of me. And baking is still really, really relaxing and really enjoyable for me, even to this day. And it looks like we're almost at the end of our video, because here's the beautiful product of our Bake With Me. And the kids loved it, and my husband loved it, and my mom even stopped by to pick up a few slices of the bread, and everybody gave it thumbs up all around. So that's always a great feeling when you get that reaction. So I hope you enjoyed this Bake With Me, and I hope that you'll consider becoming a part of the beautiful living community and subscribing, because we would love to have you. Thanks for being here.